To arm or to disarm? Should those with a CCW be allowed to carry their firearm inside Fresno City Hall? One city council member says it's his Second Amendment right. Gary Bredefeld will join me in studio as he says he's waging a right to bear arms against Mayor Lee Brand.
See, and our president told him under no circumstances we're going to allow Benghazi to be repeated again.
Taking out Iran's top general, the exclusive story behind President Trump's decision to kill Soleimani from the man who has direct knowledge, Druze leader of Lebanon and Syria's Sheikh Marwan. Mike Hamzy joins me in studio. And our panel is in place, from the governor's new state of emergency plan to house the homeless, and of course much more. Welcome to KC24 Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from KC24, your local election headquarters, with your host, Alexan Balakian. This is Sunday Morning Matters.
Happy New Year and good Sunday morning to you. I'm Alexan Balakian, and welcome to the first Sunday Morning Matters of the new decade. You can join the conversation at Real Alexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, the governor rolls out his plan to attack the growing homeless crisis, but it comes with a massive price tag. But first, with the new year, new security measures being implemented at City Hall. If you head down there now, you just can't walk into City Hall anymore. You're going to need to enter through a security clearance. But Fresno City Council member Gary Bredefeld believes this is not secure enough. He believes city workers with a CCW should be allowed to carry their firearm inside the building. Mayor Lee Brand is not in favor of this, and this week the City Council will take a vote to ban firearms from being allowed into City Hall, including for those who have a CCW. And Bredefeld is using his social media megaphone to challenge Mayor Brand this week. Here's a tweet, quote, "Waging Second Amendment battle against Mayor Lee Brand, who's trying to disarm law-abiding CCW citizens from entering Fresno City Hall and make it gun-free zone. Council hearing on January 16th. Needs Second Amendment supporters to speak out, show up," end quote. So, District 6 Council member Gary Bredefeld not happy about this. He's sitting right here. Happy New Year, sir. How are you?
Happy New Year.
All right. So, well, first and foremost, I want to get to this. You're waging a Second Amendment battle against the mayor. Why the mayor when you have to get your colleagues on council to help not pass the ban?
Well, it's his ordinance. He's the one bringing it forward. And basically, he's the one initiating this effort to stop law-abiding citizens who have CCWs from coming in to City Hall, which they've been able to do for years and is okayed by state law. The problem is he is going to have, we're going to have a metal detector at one of the entrances, but there's plenty of other entrances where people will be coming in, employees will be coming in. They are not going to be screened, and the fact is it's an illusion that we're secure. Basically, he's created a gun-free zone, which is always a magnet for the maniacs.
You're a CCW member right now, right?
Yeah, I have a permit.
Do you carry your gun into City Hall now?
I'm not going to say.
You're not going to say?
No.
Do other employees carry their gun into City Hall now?
I don't know all the employees that do. I do know there are people who have CCW permits who come into City Hall, and they're allowed to by law. And the fact is, you can't say that you're for the Second Amendment, which I am for, and say, I support it, but I don't want law-abiding citizens that have CCWs to come into City Hall.
This ordinance that he's trying to pass, this is something that's really not new, though. And this is something that most, including, the federal courthouse, as you know.
But the federal courthouse is completely secure.
So I understand that. But my thought is that City Hall is allowed to not have guns inside the building.
They are.
Just like any other building.
That's right. And he's bringing forward an ordinance to say people aren't allowed to. And there are people like me on the council that do support people exercising their Second Amendment rights. He wants people not to be able to do that.
Why do you think it's a good idea to allow people to tote their guns inside City
I think
Hall?
Law-abiding citizens who are CCW permit holders, statistically, Alexan, are the most law-abiding people in the country, statistically. They go through background checks. They are carrying weapons in order to protect themselves. And we've seen just in Texas that a person with a gun took out a bad guy who shot 2 people who would have killed 20 more. And there were 5 or 6 other people who had CCW permits.
And you're talking about white settlement taxes.
I am.
Yeah.
And across the country, people who have CCWs have been able to protect themselves against bad guys. The bad guys always have the guns, never listen to the laws, and he wants to disarm law-abiding citizens.
You're talking about security measures that are now implemented. You're saying all the doors are not safe.
Correct.
Okay, so why is that?
Because not everybody is going to be screened. And so, as we saw in San Bernardino, we had a county employee that killed 14 people. So it's an illusion that you're creating a safe building.
You're saying a disgruntled employee could have access to the building without going through the metal detector.
Absolutely.
And carry a gun in.
An employee
have a bad
or
day.
Somebody could follow that employee in and get in as well. What I'm saying is it's an illusion that it's a completely secure building. Federal courthouses are completely secure because everybody goes through those metal detectors.
If there was a system like the courthouse, you okay with not having guns?
Well, I would be a lot more comfortable because there truly would be tremendous security there. This is not the case.
So why not work with the mayor to try to get council to vote on having one entrance that everybody goes through?
Well, that's a possibility, but the fact is, when you have one entrance, everybody has to go through. They'll be lined up outside the door. They already are. So I'm all for security measures, but I don't want to mislead the public that now it's a safe place, nor do I want to take away people's constitutional rights to defend and protect themselves when they go through CCW screenings, background checks, and training.
You're saying it's a gun-free zone, but there are still security and police officers armed with their guns at the door.
There is one that will be at the door. There are 4 floors at City Hall, actually 5, and we know that police can't be everywhere. They never are able to be everywhere. We love our law enforcement, but they can't be everywhere. They know that. And so when somebody comes in who's a bad guy with a gun, usually it's a good guy who can prevent and stop somebody who wants to kill people. And I am all for constitutional Second Amendment rights. They should be respected. And we see the erosion of them all over the country, and this is another way of eroding those rights.
Former police chief, now mayoral candidate Jerry Dyer, who you back for mayor, is not in favor of what you're talking about. He would like to see the ban of CCW.
That's not what he's told me. What he has said, and he said it when I interviewed him on a radio show, that unless the building is fully secure, which he acknowledged it is not, he is open to people.
In 2017, that's what he said. So he's changed his mind.
I don't know what he said in 2017. I know what he said just 2 weeks ago.
I understand that Chief Andy Hall is also in favor of banning.
He is.
Yes. So why would you go against what Chief Hall says?
Just because he has his opinion, I have mine. And Chief Hall is in disagreement with 67% of the police chiefs across the country that support CCWs. Sheriff Mims supports CCWs. Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau encourages people to get CCWs.
Well, they may support a CCW, but having a gun inside City Hall is what they're not supporting.
I don't know that they're not supporting that. I don't know that Sheriff Mims would be opposed to that, or Tulare County Sheriff. Why would you be opposed to somebody who's had the training, a background check, is a law-abiding citizen from being able to exercise their right to carry a concealed weapon? Why would anybody be opposed to that if you truly support the Second Amendment?
Right now, as I understand, you don't have much support on this. In fact, you're the only nay in the building.
Not true.
Who else on City Council is with you right now?
Councilman Carbasi and Councilman Chavez have expressed support for my position. So we'll see what happens on there. But
so
it's not true.
Coming up on Thursday.
Yes.
But that's still not enough votes.
That's true. I may lose, but I'm going to fight for what is right. And people have a constitutionally protected right to protect themselves. And people who have CCWs in this state and across the country, there's 18.7 million CCW permit holders. We believe in our rights to protect ourselves. We're not law enforcement. We just want the right to protect ourselves. They've been doing that all along at City Hall, and I want that to continue, especially when you have the illusion of only protecting the building.
All right. Gary Bredefeld.
Thank you very much.
Very passionate Gary Bredefeld. That's what we love here. All right, right or wrong? Coming up, our panel is going to weigh in. Should city employees who have CCWs be allowed to bring their gun to work if they're licensed? Again, we'll be right back. And the public.
The public.